Hi, I'm Ryan Collins, former music teacher and Director of Technology for a public K-12 school system during the day, and at night, a huge geek. Today I want to help you solve some nagging issues with meat, and in the process, make the experience a little more pleasant. If I could make it a lot more pleasant, I would, but unfortunately, I can't. The first time you use Google Meet, it asks for access to the camera. This is one of the biggest issues I've had because students will say deny access and then they wonder why they can't talk. So let me show you. When you go into Google Meet, I'm going to join or start a meeting and we'll just create the default one. The first time it says allow Meet to use your camera and microphone. It's a security precaution because all browsers are going to ask you, can I use your microphone and camera? So the big white box here in the middle is just a formality of, here, this is what I'm going to ask. You can dismiss it. And then in the upper left corner is where you actually can change whether you want to allow them to access the camera. First up is notifications. So we'll allow notifications. Next up is use your camera and use your microphone. And we're going to say allow. Now, I'll get an error here because my webcam is currently being used to record this, so you won't see it. If they turn off that access, this little lock gives you the controls to turn it back on. So if they had turned it off, they just have to click the little lock and then they can turn it back on. You can also go to settings, and it's under site settings. And recent activity here, I've allowed camera access to Meet. And you can look at your different sites and you can go change that from here. But it's a lot easier just to do it from the clicking the little lock and changing the access. And that's where you can also turn off notifications for different websites. So that's our first problem, is making sure they have access to the camera and they can do what they need to do. Second problem, see down here where it says to avoid echo, use the same device for your mic and speaker. When you're using virtual conferencing and you're using, say, the built-in microphone on the camera or your webcam or your computer, and that speakers in your computer, the computer is constantly trying to minimize echo. When other people in the conference talk, your microphone will pick it up. If your computer doesn't eliminate those sounds, then the other people in the conference will hear themselves again a half second to a second later, which is just plain old annoying. So if you do not have at least headphones on, the computer has to work at trying to do that. And so it makes the experience a little bit lousier. That's why sometimes you'll drop out or you'll hear somebody else drop out during the conference just a little bit because the computer messed up and eliminated their voice instead of the other voices to stop the echo. So after you allow access, the most important piece of information I can give you today is to use headphones with your conference. It doesn't have to have headphones with a microphone, just regular headphones. Everybody in the conference will thank you for it. If you have a pair of headphones that have a mic in it, that's even better, but you'll have to check to see if your computer will support, say, your old earbuds from your Apple iPhone from the last 2 years. Those can be used in a MacBook as the microphone and the headphones. Just plug them in. That's supported. They'll also work on some other computer companies' laptops if the connector supports it. So you'll have to check your notification to see if that's in there. This does not work with the new Lightning headphones that comes with the new iPhones, so you have to get an older pair. I'm going to have some links to some different types of earbuds that you could look at getting that have a built-in microphone. So even if you can't do it with your current machine, maybe a future machine will be able to have the built-in microphone in with the earbuds, but use earbuds or headphones or something. Usually most of the time I have my gaming headset on, and yes, it looks like I'm preparing to fly a chopper, but it's pretty nice because it really minimizes outside air, outside sounds, and it mutes when the mic is up. It automatically mutes me. When the mic goes down, I'm unmuted, so I can talk in the conference, and I have a physical switch there instead of relying on the commands to do it. So I have some links I'll have in the description of different earbuds and AirPods that I kind of like. There's Bluetooth earbuds. If you don't want to mess with the wire, you can have the Bluetooth ones, and that'll work with any machine that has Bluetooth in them. And that gives you the freedom to get up and walk around. So, but the most important piece of what I'm talking about is make sure you have headphones, no matter what. Headphones, headphones, headphones. I'll say that till the cows come home. Headphones. Next issue that we've had a lot of problems with is changing the source for your microphone, your audio out, your headphones, whatever the speakers are, and your camera source. Most of the time, the computer does a pretty good job of selecting the correct one, but if you have multiple inputs, it'll sometimes get them wrong. So on my Google Meet here, on the more options, the 3-dot menu, there is a settings option. And with settings, you can change where it's getting the sound source. And you notice as I talk, it's picking that up. My machine, yeah, I have quite a few on there to select from. You will probably not have that many devices. If you are not getting sound out, if they can't hear you, go in and check to see what you're using for your microphone. It might be on one of these line ends, which will pretty much never work. There's my headset, so if I'm using my headset, I need to put it on there. The microphone in my Logitech webcam, I can switch between all of these different microphones. So that's the number one cause of why somebody else can't hear you, is the wrong microphone selected. Under speakers, when you plug in the headphones, it'll usually switch to the headphone jacks automatically. Sometimes it doesn't, so you can go in and select. Right now, my default is my regular speakers. And, oh, I don't have the volume up. So, that's the default, but I can say, okay, I want my speakers to be my headset. And I can change my microphone to be my headset. Where is it? And now that gets rid of that other error that says they're using two different devices. It has to work even harder and it won't do as well. So now I switched it all to my gaming headset. So that's the check when you can't get input, go there. Finally, on your inputs, look at the video, and that's where you can change which camera you're using. And it's not going to like my Logitech because I'm already using my Logitech. If you have the Snap Camera app, you can use that as a source. I'll just switch to my USB source, which doesn't, it's a HDMI input, which doesn't have anything plugged into right now, so it's just going to be a black box. But you'll almost never have to change this because you only have one webcam and it selects it correctly. But if you're doing any sort of read alouds with your kids or something that you want them to be able to see, say maybe you're writing on a whiteboard and you want them to be able to see it, the default for Google Meet is to send at a lousy 360p resolution. You can switch that to a high definition mode, and you can switch to receiving them at a high definition mode. Both of these will require more computing power on your computer, but everybody will have a better experience because they'll be able to see you better. So even if you're not switching your camera input, go into the video and select the different resolution that you want to use for your camera. So I'm just going to start up my great video conference with myself. Woohoo! Finally, when you're in the conference, everybody likes to use the tile mode. You might be using the extension, You might be using the extension that gives you all the different pictures, or you might be using the tiled here. Tiled mode is very computer intensive, and it's also bandwidth intensive because it has to feed all of those different sources into your screen at once. When students are having issues, their internet access might be a little sketchy or not that good. I tell them to switch off a tiled and go to probably Spotlight's the best mode. Spotlight, when Google released their video conference software at first, it wasn't called Google Meet, but their big, it was Google Hangouts. Their big selling point was Spotlight mode, where the video actually switched between whoever was talking at the time. And that was one of the big selling points. Nowadays, no one uses it, no one cares about it. They almost always use tiled mode. Tiled mode is one of the reasons you hear about Zoom fatigue, trying to catch up with all of the different videos that are going on your screen at the same time. I recommend using tiled mode the least amount as possible. I usually use Spotlight mode just because then I can focus in on one person, whoever's talking. When you're watching a presentation, you get more space for their presentation, so it just makes things a lot easier to handle. So, in conclusion, that's it. Are there any other tips that I missed in Google Meet? Let me know down in the comments. Please take a moment to head over to Educate Me. You can sign up for my email newsletter and check out all my different articles that I post over there and different graphics and different things that I just play around with. I'm constantly trying to experiment and see what's going on, so you can go over there and look and see what I've been up to. Stay classy.